bows to his arrow or whatever. The multi-talented fellow. The topic of our discussion mainly is a thing called Desde Hong Kong, which is a lot of poets from this part of the world. It's called Poets in Conversation with Octavio Paz. Now, Germán Munoz is one of the editors of this, and he's the former boss of the Mexican chamber. He's a lawyer, all sorts of things. How are you? Good to see you.
Fine. Thank you, Phil. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. I mean, let's talk about the editing, the Desde Hong Kong collection, first of all. There's lots of ingredients here that you're going to have to explain to me how they all connect. So why don't you tell us about the collection?
Well, it was, I think the origin of this idea, it's a real honest and genuine, spontaneous homage to Octavio Paz.
Yeah.
One day I was surprised by mails sent by officials in Mexico that ended with a phrase, Octavio Paz, 2014, the year of Octavio Paz. And it was like quite strange for me. So I thought, well, probably something that we need to discuss, and we need to create something together with a very good friend, Juan Jose Morales and Peter Gordon. Mm-hmm. We started to discuss the idea very spontaneously, and we decided to launch a kind of convocatory to promote the creation of poetry base and inspire and the works of Octavio Paz.
You better tell us all about him for starters. Tell us about Octavio.
Octavio, well, I think Octavio Paz is probably one of the most important poets, not just Mexican, it's worldwide. He's inspires with his vision of the world, many ideas about freedom and commitment with the human being. He's a real humanistic thinker, and he involves a lot of culture and background experiences in his life. He was working with in the diplomatic arena. He worked in India representing Mexico, and after that he moved to, or before that he was in Japan, and he knows and works as well very close to the literature created in Japan, with special interest in haikus and all this.
We can see that in his work, can we? Obviously, there's a lot here that people can read and read out, but we can see that inspiration in his work, the haikus, etc.
Yes, I think that the common ground in this edition of poetry, in this anthology of poetry, is that there's a cosmopolitan view about what the human being feels. What are the main concerns about life, freedom, and different concepts that makes the human being the same here than everywhere.
It's stuff that really means something, but the interesting link here, Des, is from Hong Kong, and you've got a whole bunch of very well-known writers, poets, etc. I mean, I don't know how many here, about 30?
56,
yeah.
yes.
A heck of a lot, and they're very well-known to people here, so, Japan understood. But the Hong Kong link and this bunch of writers, tell me the connection there.
Well, it was in part the idea that we were discussing, we conceived together with Juan Jose, Tammy Hall, and Peter Gordon, that it was a kind of empty space in terms of poetry anthology in Hong Kong,
right.
And it's our home.
So how did you just write to these guys and women? We've got some really well-known people Hong Kong-wise here. Did you say, like, hey, what about this? Are you interested in this? Is that how you did it?
No, it was an open convocatory, and many people respond, and it was amazing because the selection of poems, it was blind, and a blind process. We didn't know who was sending the poems, and the result was fantastic. And we discovered we had a great experience discovering great names and people that was publishing for first time.
Yeah, this is great. As he says, 56 local writers, many names you're going to know. This book first came across my table about a year ago, so that was the anniversary, 2014 or something.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Now, with two other people, you edited this. Was this a long job? What's the deal? Was it quite easy for you? Just like, that's going to work?
Uh, well, it was as a collective work. It's something that's it's a collective achievement. And I think the strength of this work is the contribution of many people, not just from Hong Kong, from Canada, from India, from Philippines. So it was the result of collective. It was a kind of choral effort that makes easy.
It was worth doing, though, because as it says on the front cover, this is on the occasion of the poet's centenary. Are people interested in this? It's been a year. Are people picking this up and enjoying it?
Yeah, we have excellent reviews from in other countries. In Singapore, there's people that have welcomed the book in the Netherlands, in Italy, in the U.S., in Mexico. So I think that it's a great success.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, as I started off by saying, he used to be in charge of the Mexican Chamber of Commerce here, but you said you stopped that a few months ago to concentrate on something else. Now, that something else is a thing called Bright Hong Kong. Do tell us more.
Yeah, well, Bright Hong Kong is a part of the main motivation is the curiosity that we embrace, myself, and my fellow Bright Hong Kong co-founders. It's an arena of intellectual and honest discussion of ideas. We try to apply the critical thinking in different kind of topics in moral, social, economic issues. And the people that are around Bright Hong Kong, it's probably the most interesting people that I ever met. There's, for instance, a lady from the Netherlands, Kathleen Ferrier. She was 10 years member of the Dutch Parliament. She's involved in human rights and migration topics and all that. She was just recently, 1 month ago, in United Nations with Ban Ki-moon, presenting a report about the state of the condition of rights for kids and women in general in Asia. Yeah. There's people like Alicia Buenrostro, who is the Consul General of Mexico in Hong Kong and Macau. Alicia Garcia Herrero is chief economist in one of the most prestigious firm of banks. And Mario Artaza, former consul of Chile in Hong Kong, and a real source of ideas and energy, positive energy.
It's amazing that all the people you've talked about so far kind of come from your part of the world. But the good news about that is it's just another way of seeing things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, there's something in common in all these minds and wills. It's the enthusiasm to try to emulate in some way the spirit of the Renaissance. We are jealous of all those people that were at some point able to reach more knowledge and expanding their knowledge in different topics. Yeah. And today it's something impossible. So we are assuming in a very humble way the opportunity to listen to people that knows something that we don't know.
Yeah, well, that's great. And you haven't used the words think tank. Well done. Because it's just bandied around too much, those two words. It doesn't mean an awful lot. It's just, it generalizes things. But how would you describe you guys? Just a group of like-minded people? What's the deal?
Yeah, I think that we are trying to do something very spontaneously. It's not really a structured organization. It's more free will, good faith, and a lot of enthusiasm. So we are trying to attract really the discussion to different topics beyond finances.
Between the lines.
Economics and between the lines.
Yeah.
That's it.
So how does it work? Well, how does something like this actually work? Do you make arrangements to meet up whenever and you pick a topic, or how do you guys do it?
Well, for instance, yesterday we had our second breakfast. Yeah. The first one was 1 month ago, and we had the pleasure to host Matthew Friedman, that is the chairman of the Mekong Club, an organization that is struggling against modern slavery. And we host as well Sylvia Yu, a great journalist, very prestigious. She's from Canada, and she was presenting a book talking about the same subject, the slavery, modern slavery, something very enrichment. And yesterday we were talking about innovation in society. We host very interesting people such as Mike Mastroiannis, an expert in this kind of subjects, and Sandro Desideri, who is one of the heads of the Hong Kong Science and Technological Parks.
Can you explain how you might take an idea and run with it? Because you said they're not the obvious things, so you might come up with something you want to discuss. How do you go with this? How does everybody take part?
Well, there's let's say that there's some subjects that are now arising a lot of interest worldwide. And this is related with the concerns that we have. For instance, the environment.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, in December, we are planning something related with religion, because we need to understand, and we are trying to understand what is behind all this medieval view about religion and sectarism, and we try to, for our well-being, to liberate thoughts and ideas that could be or could make more comprehensible these kind of topics.
I've just noticed you have a Facebook page, if that is you guys.
Yes.
Bright Hong Kong?
Yeah, but it's not complete.
It will be.
It will be, and there's a web page that is brighthk.org.
Right, okay. RTHK.org.
That have more details about what we are doing.
Brilliant. Well, good luck with all of that one. It's always fun to sit down and chat about stuff, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much.
What are you doing book-wise? Are you doing any writing or anything else yourself? Now you're going down a different avenue.
Yeah, well, I used to write since 1977, something like that, long time ago, for the Mexican press, newspapers and magazines. And I eventually worked for radio as well.
Fun, isn't it?
Yeah, when I entered here, I was jealous. I really miss this environment.
What kind of radio? What was it?
Well, it was a kind of mix of news and analysis in Mexico City, especially in politics. And in Mexico, it's a big topic, as you can imagine. And
well, tell me about that. Let's talk a bit about that for a second. Like one of the great big issues that's doing the rounds in Hong Kong is freedom of the press. Did you guys talk about that much in Mexico? What was the scene?
It's something that is mixed with the economic freedom of the media.
Right.
And for instance, if we talk about TV is an exacerbated monopoly that becomes more and more powerful, unfortunately. And in the case of radio, there's much more freedom, and there's many people that are involved, and there's different sources of resources that makes easier to participate in radio.
Do they get a lot of pressure from the governments in Mexico?
Sorry?
Do the radio stations get the hand ever? The pressure from the government to shut up or whatever?
Well, there's a system of concessions,
Yes.
Yes. So all the spectrum of telecommunications is regulated by the government.
Yeah.
So at some point, there's freedom. Well, at some point,
the line is crossed.
Yeah, it could be a little bit complicated.
It's very different now to even if you were doing this not too recent. Well, how long ago did you say? On the radio?
Oof. I left Mexico in 1997.
Well, it's a very different place, that's what I'm saying.
It's a very different place, and it's, Mexico and probably Hong Kong is the same. I spent 5 years living here.
Yeah.
And I think every country, every nation, every community is changing a lot.
Yes.
Probably because the technology and innovation.
That's one significant reason, I think.
Yeah.
The way news is chopped out, the way we get our news now. It's only in the past 3 or 4 years that it's gone completely crazy online, sort of with handheld devices, apps, etc. That's fairly recent.
Yeah. So that changed a lot society, and I think that we are. Technology is going very fast, and we are trying to enhance our lives, but at the same time, we are suffering of something related related with a cultural shock.
Yeah.
We don't understand the language sometimes that we are using to.
But that's good. It keeps us curious.
Oh yeah.
All right then. Check out the book. It's called Desde Hong Kong. Is there a online presence of this anywhere?
Yes, you can find it everywhere, and the main films
All over
and
the
the
place.
internet. You can find the book.
DESDE Hong Kong, or From Hong Kong. Poets, lots of them, 56, in conversation with Octavio Paz. Thank you very much, Herman. Thank you for coming for a visit. Take care.